everybody, it's Mike DiLisio, and today I want to just take a few minutes and talk about some games that I've had imported from the most recent Tokyo Game Market. The Tokyo Game Market is a gaming convention in Japan that happens twice a year, once in the spring and once in autumn. And the spring convention of 2023 happened about a month or so ago. And I've been able to acquire some games that were released at this game market. It can be quite difficult, quite honestly, to get a hold of some of these games because many of them are just very small boutique games that maybe are made in very small batches, sometimes handmade, never really meant for widespread distribution. And so that can make it a little more challenging than normal. But if you've been watching any of my regular or my reviews here recently, or some of my segments on Board Game Smorgasbord, you might have noticed that I have been spending a little bit more time talking about these games that are coming from other parts of the world. I've really been focusing a lot on the games from Asia, although I'm interested in games from all over the world. I just think that it is such a cool aspect of this hobby, and it reinforces kind of how global it is and that people all over the world love to play board games. And sometimes you get some really unique kind of peeks into the cultures of the areas, regions that are producing these games by playing them. So I'm just going to talk for a few minutes on each of these games. I'll throw up a picture or two that I've maybe taken while I've been playing the game, but I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about each of them. The first one is actually a game that's not here yet. It's on the way, but it is an expansion for a really, really cool solo-only, I believe, 18-card dungeon crawl, actually 32 cards, sorry, dungeon crawl game called Unstable Wizard, I believe, or Unreliable Wizard, or Unreliable Mage. I haven't gotten an exact translation on it, but it is a really, really slick, solo-only card game that has a really neat aesthetic to it, but also a really satisfying solo puzzle. And I'm getting the expansion for this, which kind of ramps things up and kind of increases the complexity and the difficulty of the game. That is on its way to me, and it should be showing up any day now. That game I actually got from a forwarding service called Buy-E, B-U-Y-E-E. So there are these forwarding services that will you sign up with them, and they will purchase games for you on your behalf, and then they will have them shipped to a warehouse in Japan. And then once they show up there, then you would pay a bit of a fee, and they will ship them then to you in another country, in my case, the United States. So you are paying a bit of a premium for that because you are paying whatever the cost is of the game, and then you are paying a bit extra for that forwarding service. But it's a very cool service and one that I've just started utilizing. The game that I want to talk about first, as far as that I have here from Tokyo Game Market, the spring edition, is Ptolemy. This is a two-player shedding game. Really, really interesting. I've only had a chance to kind of mess with it. I haven't really had a chance to put it through its paces yet. But a very, again, small kind of boutique game. And the idea is that you are trying to shed the cards that you have in your hand. Each player is going to have 11 cards. And when you play a card, it's going to be moving these planets around kind of a circular track. And you have to play a card that will allow a planet to be in a higher position than the last player did. And so it's very intriguing, very clever. And I'm interested to kind of see more of what Ptolemy has to offer. I don't know that I've played a lot of two-player shedding games, so I'm intrigued, to say the least. Now, this last batch of games, I'm going to be talking about 5 games here. All of them came from a store. I want to give a little shout out to Tanuki Games, a game store in Texas, I believe Austin, Texas. I'm not positive about that. But Chris at Tanuki Games apparently has been doing this for a while, where he'll go to Tokyo Game Market and he will kind of open up pre-orders for people to put in requests. And he can't make guarantees because, again, a lot of these are in very small numbers. But if he can't get them, he will get them for you. And then he brings them back to the States and then ships them out to you. And so all the rest of these games are games that I got as a result of pre-ordering them through Tanuki Games. And I just think it's fantastic that there's a local game store that is providing this service for people like me that are interested in these games and would maybe not have another easy opportunity to get them. Oh, really quick, Ptolemy, this one actually I got on BGG. Someone was selling it on BGG, and that's how I got that one. So starting off with Floristry. Floristry is a beautiful, beautiful game where you are it's a contract fulfillment type of a game where you are gathering different flowers, you're putting them together into bouquets, and then you are fulfilling orders of people that want particular bouquets. And you're doing this with a bit of a dice rolling mechanic and a bit of a again, contract fulfillment, resource management type of a thing. It's got a bit of a Splendor vibe to it because every time that almost every time that you fulfill a contract, it gives you symbols that'll help you fulfill more contracts. So it's kind of an engine building thing as well. The look and the components of this game are just stunningly beautiful. I've really enjoyed I've only messed around with it a little bit again. I want to play this one a bit more, but intriguing. Very, very intriguing. Next up is Parallel Time Machine Voyage. This is another card shedding game. Card games, I think, and especially trick-taking games, I have found to be very, very popular at the game market, the Tokyo game market. This one is a really it's beautiful looking, I think. It has a very unique aesthetic. But the idea is, again, you are trying to get rid of all the cards in your hand, and you're doing this by matching either particular areas or timelines. And you're able to kind of manipulate this time machine, this little token that goes above these cards, and you're doing that to try to be able to shed multiple cards on a turn. And so you can sometimes set yourself up for later turns by slow rolling it a little bit, taking cards when you want to shed them, but taking cards that you know are going to set you up for future turns that will allow you to kind of shed multiple cards in a row. So this one is coming from Polar Pond Games. I've played at least one other game by this publisher, and I enjoyed that. I actually did a review for it, Antique or Ghost, pretty sure the same publisher, on our channel. So more from them. Then, something I was very, very excited about. I have talked a bit about the Itten Fun Brick series of games. Itten is a Japanese publisher, and they've created these Fun Brick series, these kind of small, tall boxes. And one that I've mentioned quite a bit on this channel is Viking Seesaw from designer Reiner Knizia. Well, they have come out with a number of these different games, and the two most recent, looks like numbers 8 and 9, are here with me now. So we've got number 8, we've got Tower of Doubt. And this is a 2-player deduction bluffing game where the bottom of the box is kind of part of the play area, and you've got these towers that are going to show a certain number of white crystals, but you can only see your side and your opponent can only see the opposite side. And so what you're trying to do is have the highest number of white crystals that you have claimed by placing a piece on them. But you can do little bluffing things to try to get your opponent to commit to a tower that you know is not necessarily a great tower. There's also a little hook in there that the two of the lowest scoring towers, the 2s, if you claim both of those, it's an instant win. So a really neat addition to the Funbrick series. And then a game that I am remarkably enamored by. This is Wonder Bowling, this has no business being as fun as it is. It is a blast where I'll show a picture and you'll kind of get an idea. But basically, again, the box is part of the play area. You stack up these wooden pins on the box, and then you've got this large stick with a sphere on both sides. And the whole point of the game is that you've got little target numbers in front of you. Maybe it'll say 3 or 5 or 7. And you can hit the box anywhere you want, as long as you're not hitting one of the pins directly. And what you're trying to do is knock over some of the pins, but not all of them. If you knock over all the pins, that's a penalty. And then you have to take another target number. It makes it harder for you to go out, so to speak. The way you get a strike in the game is by doing a tap on the box and knocking over all but one pin. And so every player starts with 2 strike tokens, and to flip those over, you need to get a strike. Again, this game has no business being as fun as it is, for as ridiculous and silly as it is, but I've had a blast with it. And then finally, we have Whale to Look from Oink Games. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I actually have already done a review on the channel. I'll link to that in this. But suffice to say, I gave it a seal of excellence. I think this is a fantastic, fantastic kind of bluffing deduction type of a game where you are trying to determine where the most and the least fish are going to show up in this kind of board state in front of you that are made up of different cards. It's a really clever game, and it's a co-design between Jun Sasaki, who is a regular designer for Oink Games, may actually be associated with the company, the publisher, I'm not sure. But Bruno Faiduti, a very well-known and renowned European game designer, French game designer, maybe most known for Citadels. This is his first co-design working on an Oink Games title. And so all of those last 5 games, again, I was able to get through Tanuki Games, and so I really appreciate the fact that there are some people out there that are kind of fulfilling this service for people that are interested in these types of games. So there you go, just a quick overview of some of these games that I got from Tokyo Game Market, and from what I can tell, it is a sliver of the amount of games that were released there. And there'll be another one here later in the year, and I'm sure I'm going to probably try to find my way to getting some of those as well, because I have been pretty enamored with most of the games that I have been able to play coming from the game market. All right, well, that's going to do it for me. This is Mike DiLisio signing off from the Dice Tower Midwest Annex.